Today, we're going to talk about a person who is never late and never arrives too early. Outwardly, he is just a grey, unremarkable old man in plain clothes. But behind this image hides a powerful wizard, one of the ancient Maiar, a friend of hobbits, and one of humanity's greatest defenders in the fight against the forces of darkness. Of course, he is also one of the most famous and beloved wizards in modern popular culture. For generations to come, the long grey cloak and pointed hat will be symbols of incredible adventures. And today, we'll show you how the image of the Grey Wanderer is created following all the canons of fantasy worlds. You're watching Fable Fabric, and we're getting started. Gandalf the Grey, Mithrandir, Olorin, one of the Astari. Over his long years of wandering, he has gathered many names. Yet time has not made him cynical, nor dulled his sharp mind. If anything, it has only added a touch of eccentricity. But let's be honest, that's part of his charm. He arrived in Middle-earth during the Third Age, after Sauron began to regain power. Right after his arrival, Gandalf set out on long journeys across the world, learning the customs and traditions of its peoples. Everywhere he went, he acted as an advisor and a helper, offering aid to elves, men, and dwarves alike. Unlike Saruman, Gandalf had no permanent home, spending most of his time traveling through the western lands of Middle-earth. It was there that he stumbled upon a peaceful corner of the world, the Shire, home of the hobbits. He grew deeply fond of this kind-hearted folk, though many hobbits saw him as a troublemaker. And, in a way, they were right. It was precisely Gandalf's years spent among men, dwarves, elves, and hobbits that allowed him to understand them better and ultimately unite the peoples of Middle-earth through gentle persuasion against a common enemy. There are countless stories about Gandalf, enough to fill many days of storytelling. But let's return to the appearance of this ancient wizard. Incredibly, the first inspiration for Gandalf's design came from an ordinary postage stamp depicting an old man in a wide-brimmed hat feeding a deer from his hand. In this wizard's image, one can see traces of the Norse god Odin, Shakespeare's wise Prospero, and Merlin from Arthurian legend. As we mentioned in other videos, Peter Jackson's team did an enormous amount of work developing the look and feel of the saga's characters. The costumes of Middle-earth had to be not only beautiful and functional, but also durable, able to withstand all sorts of environments. Gandalf had to trek through New Zealand's wild countryside, climb mountain paths, cross rivers, and fight in battles. All this demanded sturdy clothing. That's why heavy wool was chosen, despite protests from actor Ian McKellen, who had to use a portable fan and sun umbrella between takes to avoid heat stroke. Costume designer Nihila Dixon always wanted her costumes to blend naturally into the world. She said she wanted her robes, tunics, and armor to look like everyday clothing. Perhaps that's why the characters' looks feel so authentic and unified. But now, it's time to move from words to action and finally reveal how the image of one of the greatest wizards of all time is truly brought to life. Let's touch briefly on Gandalf's tunic, another essential attribute of any self-respecting wizard. Its origins are easy to trace. It comes from the garments of priests from many religions, both ancient and modern. A person dressed in long robes is immediately perceived as someone close to mystical powers. The creators of Gandalf's image decided to stay true to that tradition. As with every piece of the costume, it's made from natural materials. For the filmmakers, this choice was more than just a matter of aesthetics. The texture, the weight, the way the fabric moves, all of it had to feel real. Without that, the audience could never truly believe in the world of Middle-earth. Almost every part of Gandalf's costume was crafted from wool woven in different densities to suit each layer. The tunic of the Grey Wanderer is traditionally made from lighter cloth, designed to rest close to the body and allow freedom of movement through endless journeys and fierce battles. Equally important is the character of the fabric itself. A traveler's robe should never look pristine. A hint of wear, a touch of weathering, these imperfections breathe life into the garment, giving it a history of its own. Across the shoulders, the weave grows denser, strengthened with ties at the chest. These serve not only for fastening, but also for fit, for it's the shoulders that anchor the entire silhouette. And finally, the magic lies in the stitching. Fine threads trace the tunic's shape, almost invisible to the eye, while thicker ones bring out its texture, giving the fabric weight, depth, and a quiet strength befitting the grey pilgrim himself. The trousers are crafted according to the same principles as the tunic. They must be light and comfortable, allowing freedom of movement. To achieve the perfect fit, a bright temporary stitch is first applied to hold the fabric in place. Once the final seams are completed, this technical thread is carefully removed. A drawstring is then threaded through the waistband for fastening. The design does not include a full belt, as it would be worn later over the tunic. Yes, you might think that the belt would be the simplest element of the costume, but our goal is to show in the finest detail how every piece of fantasy clothing is created, always with a glance toward history. So no, we can't just take a strip of fabric and attach a buckle to it. That would be far too easy. First, we take a thick woolen thread. Then we carefully study the original belt's color, weave, and shape, ensuring every detail feels authentic. Next comes the stage of hand dyeing. The thread is unwound beforehand so that the dye can fully saturate every fiber. Only after the coloring is complete, with the buckle secured, does the process of weaving begin. And by the way, if you'd like to see not just the weaving from finished thread, but also how such yarns were made by our distant ancestors, let us know in the comments. Now, the hat. For modern audiences, a pointed hat with a wide brim is the unmistakable mark of a wizard. Even in Terry Pratchett's works, it's made clear, a wizard without a hat is no wizard at all. There are many theories about its origins. Some say it comes from ancient depictions of Odin and Merlin as wandering sages. Others link it to the headdresses of priests. An interesting theory suggests that medieval kings often summoned wise men late at night, so the nightcap, which eventually evolved into a hat with a brim, became a natural symbol of a learned old man. According to Neela Dixon, she spent several months creating the perfect hat for Gandalf, since the hat defines a wizard's silhouette and in some cases serves as much a source of power as a staff or wand. Neela wanted Gandalf's hat to stand apart from all other wizard hats audiences had seen before. She wanted it to be functional, mysterious, magical, and whimsical. The character, along with his hat, had to reflect his era, yet at the same time exist beyond time. Gandalf's hat, like that of any true wizard, is crafted from thick felt. Its shape is formed not only with scissors and thread, but also through the careful use of steam. The material is first treated with hot vapor, then fixed in place and left to set until it holds the desired form. To ensure the brim doesn't look as though it was simply cut across the felt, an additional uneven layer is applied. Its loose fibers are wrapped around the edges and secured with a special awl, allowing the strands of felt to intertwine and merge naturally. The upper part of the hat takes shape with the help of stitching along the seam. It is at this stage that the folds must be set, for without them the hat would look like a Halloween prop, and that would never fit for our wizard. Finally, the hat is once again treated with steam and left to dry completely, locking in its shape. If this step is skipped, the felt will try to return to its original form, pulling its own threads loose in the process. The crafting of footwear is a special art in itself. Unfortunately, shoes are often given little attention in films, and that is a great mistake. For a costume designer, creating the right pair of boots can be even more challenging than making the rest of the costume. The process begins with defining the shape and creating a pattern. Next comes the selection of materials. If the leather is too thin, it will lose its shape. If it is too thick, wearing it will be nothing short of torture. Leather cannot simply be pierced with a needle, so small holes are pre-punched for the thread. This not only makes sewing possible, but also ensures a neat, even stitch. After that follows the stage of dyeing and treatment. And if you think leather already has its color, I'm sorry to disappoint you, in most cases it doesn't. Untreated leather usually comes in a simple light beige tone. Individual parts are also shaped separately. The leather is first soaked, then left to dry and stitched together. the most complex part of the process is the lower section of the boots. To ensure a perfect fit, a wooden last is used. The insole is first nailed to the last. Then, the leather is stretched tightly around it with the help of lasting pliers and fixed with nails. Only after the fit is perfect, craftsmen sew the sole, trim away the excess material, and seal the seams with adhesive. Both the sole and the heel are also made of leather and attached using specialized cobbler's glue, completing the sturdy yet elegant footwear of the Grey Wanderer. Now we come to the cloak. This element may not be the most elaborate, yet it is the very heart of Gandalf's image. The cloak is what shields every traveler from wind, cold, and rain. You might say that a woolen cloak is hardly the best protection against bad weather, and you'd be right. It cannot match leather in its water resistance. But in earlier times, such cloaks were treated with oil and wax, allowing them to repel even the heaviest downpour and keep their wearer safe and dry. We now move gently from the larger elements of clothing to the smaller details, the accessories. During his travels, Gandalf the Grey carried a small pouch, often hidden within the folds of his cloak. It may not catch the eye at first glance, yet we approached its creation with the same care and precision as every other part of his attire. Yes, it is a simple item, but one that is historically accurate. A true traveler would always choose a modest, practical bag for a long journey rather than something ornate that might draw unwanted attention from thieves. Fingerless mittens were also crafted. They designed to keep the hands warm while allowing the fingers full freedom of movement, always ready for whatever spell or task the wizard might face next. Last, but not least, comes the staff. Is the centerpiece of his appearance. It's not just a sturdy walking stick for an old man, it serves as a conduit for his magical power and as a weapon against everything from orcs to other Istari. In total, Gandalf had 5 different staffs throughout the films, 3 of which belonged to Gandalf the Grey. Here, the task was truly a difficult one. We couldn't simply pick up the first branch we found and declare it the staff of a great wizard. We needed to recreate not only its form, but also its spirit and function. First, we took all the measurements and designed a detailed model of the staff. The challenge lay in the fact that it serves more than one purpose. It must hold a magical crystal, act as a rest for Gandalf's pipe, and yet appear as a single, seamless creation, as if grown from the wood itself. Only after many weeks of searching for the perfect piece of timber did the craftsman begin his work, most of which was spent on careful shaping and refinement. Finally, the staff was coated with varnish and given just a touch of modern magic.
A wizard is never late, Frodo Baggins. Nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to.
There's no memory of this place. I will help you bear this burden, Frodo Baggins, as long as it's yours to bear.
Thank you for joining us. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. And let us know in the comments what other fantasy creations you'd like to see brought to life.